Determining the loaded weight and CG. An important part of pre-flight planning is to determine that the aircraft is loaded so its weight and CG location are within the allowable limits. There are two ways of doing this: by the computational method using weight, arms, and moments, and by the loading graph method using weight and moment indexes. The first method is computational method. The computational method uses weights, arms, and moments. It relates the total weight and the CG location to a CG limits chart, similar to those included in the TCDS and the POH or AFM. A worksheet such as the one in Figure 4-3 provides space for all of the pertinent weight, CG, and moment, along with the arms of the seats, fuel, and baggage areas. When planning the flight, fill in the blanks in the worksheet with the specific data for the flight, similar in the example in Figure 4-4. Pilot, 120 pounds. Front seat passenger, 180 pounds. Rear seat passenger, 175 pounds. Fuel, 88 gallons, 528 pounds. Baggage A, 100 pounds. Baggage B, 50 pounds. Determine the moment of each item by multiplying its weight by its arm. Then determine the total weight and the sum of the moments. Divide the total moment by the total weight to determine the CG in inches from the datum. The total weight is 3,027 pounds and the CG is 43.54 inches aft of the datum. To determine that the airplane is properly loaded for this flight, use the CG limits envelope in Figure 4-5, which is typical for those found in the POH or AFM. Draw a line vertically upward from the CG of 43.54 inches and one horizontally to the right from the loaded weight of 3,027 pounds. These lines cross inside the envelope, which shows the airplane is properly loaded for takeoff, but 77 pounds overweight for landing. The second method is loading graph method. Everything possible is done to make flying safe, and one expedient method is the use of charts and graphs from the POH or AFM to simplify and speed up the pre-flight weight and balance computation. Some use a loading graph and moment indexes rather than the arms and moments. These charts eliminates the need for calculating the moments and thus make computations quicker and easier, like the one in Figure 4-5. Moment indexes. Moments determined by multiplying the weight of each component by its arm result in large numbers that are awkward to handle and can become a source of mathematical error. To eliminate these large numbers, moment indexes are used. The moment is divided by a reduction factor such as 100 or 1000 to get the moment index. The loading graph provides the moment index for each component, so you can avoid mathematical calculations. The CG envelope uses moment indexes rather than arms and moments. CG limit envelope is the enclosed area on a graph of the airplane loaded weight and CG location. If line drawn from the weight and CG cross within this envelope, the airplane is properly loaded. Loading graph. Figure 4-6 is a typical loading graph taken from the POH of a modern four-place airplane. It is a graph of load weight and load moment indexes. Diagonal lines for each item relate the weight, to the moment index without having to use mathematical calculations. Compute weight and balance using the loading graph. To compute the weight and balance using the loading graph in Figure 4-6, make a loading schedule chart like the one in Figure 4-7. In Figure 4-6, follow the horizontal line for 300 pounds load weight to the right until it intersects the diagonal line for pilot and front passenger. From this point, drop a line vertically to the load moment index along the bottom to determine the load moment for the front seat occupants. This is 11.1 pound-inch per 1,000. Record it in the loading schedule chart. Determine the load moment for the 175 pounds of rear seat occupants along the diagonal for second row passengers or cargo. This is 12.9. Record it in the loading schedule chart. The maximum fuel is marked on the diagonal line for fuel in terms of gallons or liters. The maximum is 88 gallons of usable fuel. The total capacity is 92 gallons, but 4 gallons are unusable and have already been included in the empty weight of the aircraft. The weight of 88 gallons of gasoline is 528 pounds, and its moment index is 24.6. The 100 pounds of baggage in Area A has a moment index of 9.7, and the 50 pounds in Area B has an index of 5.8. Enter all of these weights and moment indexes in the loading schedule chart and add all of the weights and moment indexes to determine the totals. Transfer these values to the CG moment envelope in Figure 4-8. The CG moment envelope is an enclosed area on a graph of the airplane loaded weight and loaded moment. If lines drawn from the weight and loaded moment cross within this envelope, the airplane is properly loaded. The loading schedule shows that the total weight of the loaded aircraft is 3,027 pounds, and the loaded airplane moment per 1,000 is 131.8. Draw a line vertically upward from 131.8 on the horizontal index at the bottom of the chart, and the horizontal line from 3,027 pounds in the left-hand vertical index. These lines intersect within the dashed area, which shows that the aircraft is loaded properly for takeoff, but it is too heavy for landing. If the aircraft had to return for landing, it would have to fly long enough to burn off 77 pounds, slightly less than 13 gallons, of fuel to reduce its weight to the amount allowed for landing.